to the Finance and Audit Committee meeting for 16 April. If we can all rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I believe our first action today is to approve the minutes of the last committee meeting. Do I have any motion?
I move for approval.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Looks like that's approved. Thank you. At this time, we open up the floor for public comments on the agenda items and the agenda items only. Any speakers? Okay. And then we'll move to presentations and move rather quickly. I believe Mr. Ortiz. And when you give a presentation, if you will, and I mentioned this at one of my last meetings, if you can tell me if this is for information or for action, that would be great.
Yes, sir. We're actually going to do the creation of the 275 LX route first.
Okay.
We're going to swap, and yes, this is to advance to the full board.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody. I am Philip St. Pierre, Manager of Scheduling Services in the Service Development Department, and I'm here to discuss about the 275 LX plan. We completed the public outreach, and we're here to bring the recommendation and the results of that public outreach. A little bit of the background of the route creation. The 275 LX was part of the COA and the TDP process, better known as Mission Max. We were not able to implement this route due to funding for year one, so we came up with a plan to incorporate some portions of the Route 51 LX into the 275 LX creation and use the funding from the FDOT Transit Urban Corridor grant. So we brought this plan to the Legislative and Strategic Planning Committee. We asked for approval for public outreach and got full board approval. We completed that public outreach, and like I said, today we're here to bring you those results. An overview of the plan: the merger of the 51 LX into the 275 LX presented an opportunity, like I said, to use those FDOT Urban Corridor funds. It saves the service in the new Tampa area from Wesley Chapel to the university area along the Bruce B. Downs corridor. The proposed alignment, we use T-Best. It's an FDOT provided product to HART. We modeled the route, and the ridership estimates about $200,000 riders per year. And we don't expect that in the first year, but we expect that to hopefully mature over time. Again, this would be 100% FDOT funded through that Transit Urban Corridor funds. It is renewable, and there is no local match to HART. The route as it's presented presents an opportunity to have a regional connection at the Wiregrass Park and Ride with Pasco County's Route 54. That's an hourly route at the Wiregrass Park and Ride, and we built the schedule to accommodate that regional connection. And I'll show you that schedule on a later slide. This route will leverage bus bays along the route on Bruce B. Downs Boulevard. There's about 10 bus bays, probably about 7 in each direction have been completed, and we believe that there's about 3 more in each direction as the construction along Bruce B. Downs is completed. I think we'll have about 10 bus bays in each direction along Bruce B. Downs. So let's talk about the existing services that we have. We have the Route 51 LX, the New Tampa Express, and the 20X Lutz Express. Now, the reason we're talking about the 20X, the Lutz Express, is because both of these routes are funded through that Transit Urban Corridor Grant Program. So for us to make the 275 LX a reality, we have to take some of the funds from the 20X that we have saved up and put it towards the 275 LX. Now, this would continue. The funds that we have saved up, we would be able to continue to fund the 20X and have no impact to service on the 20X. And the 20X is performing very well. We estimate about over 21,000 rides this year. So the impacts that happened in Mission Max in October have improved this route. This is our most productive express route, and I have the numbers here. It's about about 28 passengers per revenue hour on that 20X between the 2 morning and the 2 p.m. trips. So that is our most productive express route at the moment for the 20X. Now the 51LX, on the other hand, is not a high-performing route. It's one of our lowest-performing express routes as it stands, and it continues to decline. So in service development, we designed the plan that we're presenting today to help hopefully improve service along that corridor and improve productivity for the service that we're going to provide.
Hey, Philip, just one question. If you
Yes,
could
sir.
go back one slide. What was the genesis behind a big spike in 20X over the year?
We believe it was possibly due to the removal of the 61LX that was up in that area. We think some of the riders shifted over to use the target that's up in Pasco up there, so that they can cross the border into Hillsborough County to downtown.
Okay. So that was a result of Mission Max?
Correct.
Or changes? Okay. Very
Correct.
good. All right.
And the 20X had an improvement with the February service change, February 25th service change going to MacDill Air Force Base.
Okay.
We are planning to do a marketing campaign to increase the ridership even further from the downtown area to MacDill Air Force Base as well.
Thank you.
All right, so we completed the public outreach. We were approved to do the public outreach. We completed 10 sessions over the last month and a half. We had 4 ride-alongs with the current 51LX. We conducted 1 open house meeting and 1 official public hearing. We received 105 responses, and overwhelmingly, option 1 was the full route going from Wiregrass to University Area Transit Center, down to downtown at Marion Transit Center, out to the airport 7 days a week, hourly frequency. That was the overwhelming popular choice. Option 2 had 16 votes, and that route did not go to the airport. It terminated downtown. Option 3 was a little bit of a mixed option. Monday through Friday, it would run that full route to the airport, and on the weekends, it would only go from Wiregrass Park and Ride to University Area Transit Center via Bruce B. Downs. So that had a shorter span of the route on a Saturday and Sunday. And that only had 3 options. We had 3 individuals vote any of the options would work for them, and 4 people did not vote. So here's some of the comments that we received. I highlighted a few here. So the connections with the Pasco Transit 54 and 41 is crucial. Now the connection that we will build with this route, it's going to be the Route 54 at the Wiregrass Park and Ride. We'd love to be able to go downtown on the weekends, so the option 1 provides that option, 7 days a week to go to downtown. Plan to use this service to commute to and from downtown Tampa and get to the airport when needed. 7 days a week service to the airport with option 1. A new Tampa route to Wiregrass is needed, and that's what we're here to present the plan. All right. So here is the recommendation that we're bringing to the committee today. So this is the full route, Wesley Chapel to University Area Transit Center via Bruce B. Downs, to downtown Tampa, to Marion Transit Center, and out to the airport. It's a 60-minute frequent service between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. Now let's talk about some of the priorities for this routing and the schedule that I'm going to show you. It provides that regional connection with Pasco County's Route 54. This is going to be crucial as we launch Flamingo fares. Passengers will be able to use one fare structure between the counties, between Pinellas to Hillsborough to Pasco, one fare structure. It provides new service in the new Tampa area. We have never had bus service along Bruce B. Downs or in the new Tampa area. This, we'll be able to use those bus bays and provide that localized service in that area. It provides express service between our 2 heaviest transit centers, between University Area Transit Center and downtown Tampa. So folks will have an option to get to downtown instead of taking the local streets and the local routing and the local time. They can hop on this bus and go directly to downtown, which will be a big time saver. It would also improve frequency between downtown and the airport. So the schedule that we have built alternates with the 60LX. So the 60LX is another hourly frequent express route. So having that schedule alternate will provide that 30-minute express connection between the downtown and the airport. It also enhances the connections with the Route 35 that was enhanced with the county funds with the February service change. The Route 35 was improved from a 60-minute frequent service to a 30-minute frequent service. So having that pairing 30-minute frequencies enhances that connections as well in the northwest portion of the county. So here's the schedule that we propose. I know it's probably a little difficult to read on the slide, but the Pasco County Route 54, the schedule is aligned so that it provides a 15-minute buffer at that Wiregrass Park and Ride, and it also alternates top of the hour and with the 60 LX and the bottom of the hour with the 275 LX to provide that connection to the airport every 30 minutes. This route will leverage the local investment along Bruce B. Downs with that Wiregrass Park and Ride. It's a brand new built facility, opened up a few months ago. We also have those bus bays along that corridor. There's still construction along Bruce B. Downs, so we're hoping that will be completed by the end of the year, so that we could use all those bus bays. But there are some bus bays that can be utilized now, so we will use those bus bays once the route is, if the route is approved. So service to the airport. So if this route is approved at the board level, we will have 5 HART routes that go to the airport. We have the Route 30, providing local service between downtown and the airport via Kennedy Boulevard. The Route 32 provides service from Net Park, eastern portion of the county, to or East Tampa, to the airport via Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. We have Route 35 up in the northwest portion of the county between Northwest Transfer Center to the airport via Town and Country. We currently have the Route 60, an hourly route from the Brandon area, from Brandon to downtown to the airport. And hopefully we'll have the 275 to also complement those services, going from Wiregrass through New Tampa to the university area to downtown to the airport. Also, PSTA is working up plans to send their 300X to the airport. So hopefully we'll have, by this summertime, we'll have six routes serving the airport.
Question for you, Phil.
Yes, sir.
Route 60 and 275 from downtown to the airport, are they alternates?
Yes, they alternate, yes. The 60 LX here departs at the bottom of the hour from Marion From Marion Transit Center. It departs at the top of the hour going to the airport. The 275 LX will depart at the bottom of the hour. So that will provide that 30-minute connection between downtown and the airport.
So from downtown to the airport, we have something going to the airport every 30 minutes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And you have 2 express options and the local option with the 30. So let's talk about some of the impacts to current riders. The 20X, as I explained a little bit before, there's no impacts to the riders of the 20X. They actually had an enhancement of service to the 20X to go from downtown to MacDill Air Force Base, and there will be no impacts to the 20X riders. The 51LX, having it modified to the 275 LX. They currently have 2 trips in the morning and 2 trips in the afternoon that are spaced about 40 minutes apart. Having the 275 LX will have it spaced hourly, so it would be 60 minutes apart between trips. Hourly frequent routes, they don't work for everybody's schedules. So if you have to be downtown at 7 a.m., 7:30, 8, or 8:30, an hourly route will not work for everybody's schedule. So we did hear some comments at the public hearing from 3 individuals that the schedule will not work for them, and we did recommend that they look into the T-BARTA van pool program so that those handful of individuals can get together and do their own van pool to provide that flexibility for them, because they have to be downtown by 7 a.m., and the majority of folks do not have to be downtown by 7 a.m. So it's a little bit of a balancing act that we're doing with the schedule to accommodate those folks. So again, we're recommending to do the van pool program. The Route 51LX will not stop at the Temple Terrace City Hall stop. So we are recommending to those folks to use the local Route 6, which was improved with the February service change to every 15 minutes. The comparable trip time was about 30 minutes on the express routing and about 45 minutes on the local routing on the Route 6, so about a 15-minute increase in travel time. And if that route does not work for those individuals, they can use the Temple Terrace City Hall Park and Ride as a rallying lot for the van pull program as well. So same thing, if it doesn't work for a few individuals, they can get together and do the van pull program. And this is just a map of the impacts to current riders. So that's the existing Route 51, and that would be converted over to the 275LX. All right, so let's talk about funding. So the plan that we have right now can be funded all the way through fiscal year 19 with the current funds that we have saved up through those transit urban corridor grants. We can operate the 20X and the 275LX for the rest of fiscal year 18 and throughout fiscal year 19. We project about $252,000 incoming from the 20X and $435,000 coming in for the 51LX in fiscal year 19. We also have approximately $1.6 million saved up for previous grants that we have received. So working with FDOT and through the JPA, we would restructure those funds to operate the 20X and the 275LX all the way through fiscal year 19. Next year, we would reapply. I believe the deadline is April. So we would reapply so that we would continue to get funds and renew those funds for the 275LX and the 20X for next year, for fiscal year 20. All right, so we're also working up a marketing and communications plan. The plan is a two-phase approach. The messaging will be focused around improved connectivity, especially with that regional connection to Pasco's Route 54. The messaging will also include that this is a lower cost travel option. People will save a lot of money by utilizing our services, possibly not having that the second car in their household, possibly. So we will focus that message around that. And the 275LX, about all the comments received from the residents and businesses along that route and that new ridership opportunity, really trying to get in touch with that community along Bruceby Downs that has those localized service, that they can use this route to get into the university area and to the downtown and to the airport. So the primary audiences for this effort includes current HART riders, especially the 51LX riders that we currently use our service, residents and businesses along the route of the 275LX. We will work with business and civic organizations and tell them about the route and enhance rider, get them to use our services. We'll talk with airport staff and stakeholders at the airport, being that this is a whole new area, capturing that ridership and those workers and travelers to the airport. HART Board of Directors and high-level stakeholders working with everybody here to let everybody know that, hey, this is what the route is, and hopefully you get people together and get people excited about the new route. We'll work with the media and get the word out about the new routing, and we'll obviously coordinate with our employees and give them training on the new route and get them spreading the word about the 275LX. The first phase will run now until the end of May, and it's basically just building the content and the materials from now until the board approval, hopefully on May 7th. Just getting that material created and proofed and everything, and having that readily available to go out to the public. We'll work after the approval. We will work with the community, business, and stakeholder outreach and education. So we'll work with a lot of our partners in the community. We'll work with media relations. We'll also work to secure advertising space. One of the plans that we're working on is getting those bus shelters built along the route so that we can put our advertisement in those bus shelters and have that ready. And also, obviously working on patron notifications, having everything spread out on our buses so that folks know that, hey, this route could be coming. Phase 2, June until route implementation. So July 1st is our preferred go-live date when we want to implement the new service change on July 1st. Again, we'll do patron notifications, media relations. We'll update all the materials online and work through our social media presence. So this route is a precursor to the regional plan, and having that regional connectivity, especially with Pasco and Pinellas has their routes coming over into Hillsborough. We'll have routes going into Pasco. So it's starting to build this whole regional network of services is a precursor to what the future could hold for a full regional plan. So the timeline, this is some of the things that we've already accomplished over the last few months. We've got the committee, legislative and strategic plan committee approval to bring that to the board. We got board approval for the outreach, and we completed our outreach, and now we're here today to advance this item to the full board and hopefully get full approval to implement this route on July 1st. So today we're asking the committee to advance this recommendation, our request to the full board on May 7th.
Questions?
I don't have a question. You had me at 100% funded.
Yes.
After that, it was all rally. What were we doing with the money? I see this as a win. I'm really happy that you were able to take the funding and reinvent its use. I mean, it's the same thing. It's getting people from point A to point B, C, D, and E. It sounds like. Unless anyone else is ready to do so, I move to approve going forward to the full board.
Any more comments before we move?
30-minute headways from the downtown to the airport will be a nice improvement.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I was thinking through the media and communications plan and how do we reach what I would call the hotels and the businesses downtown in order to get that out there, and then how do we make it viable for them to get their patrons to the Marion Transit Center and back. I think that would be a key kind of what I would call leg in the process if we can do something like it. Yes.
After discussions with Mr. Lopano, he's excited about this. He's excited about the 5 routes that are by the summer we'll be able to get to the airport. And he has expressed his desire to help us with that outreach, specifically to the business and hotelier community, including a media event with his staff, he and I, and some elected officials riding the first route. Kenyatta, I guess you need to know that. But he has supported us. He's very excited about these routes going there, get advertising finally on the bus bays that are out at the airport, and really do a media blitz and communication blitz to the patrons that are going to use this to really let them know that it's there. So the airport's excited, we're excited, and it's an opportunity to share some of that.
Because I know as a business traveler in and out of the community, I'd like to have other options to get to the hotel I'm going to and all that. So if this is one option and we can make it work for business travelers to Tampa, particularly as they come downtown, that would be very nice. Sir?
Yeah, just a point of clarification. I talked to Jeff ahead of the meeting. This route obviously is serving the same, at least general corridor that the current regional transit study is contemplating for the BRT. Of course, we don't know where that project will go, but it goes without saying, but I think it's important to just state publicly that if and when a project like that goes forward, whether it's BRT or something else, we would have to and would evaluate this particular service in light of whether or not there's a duplication of effort. So this is not something that would in any way duplicate other service that may be available down the road.
Right. Good point. Yes, thank you. We have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So moved to take it to the full board.
Thank you very much.
Safety and Action Plan presentation.
Mr. Chairman, board members, we have this morning the University Area CDC here to do a presentation. Staff currently serves on their advisory committee for the Community Safety and Action Plan, and they're asking for a letter of commitment from HART. So Mr. Nestor Ortiz, who is the Chief Programs Officer, is here to give you a little short presentation on the program.
Okay, thank you. And welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be here and present in front of you all today. My name is Nestor Ortiz. I am the Chief Programs Officer for the University Area CDC. If you haven't had an opportunity to go over to the University Area CDC, it's a huge building that really focuses on developing that particular community, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with the challenges in the university area. So let me start off by just explaining the Community Safety and Action Plan was a partnership between about 30 different agencies. I'm trying to, there it is. Okay. Through about 30 different partnership agencies that came together to really talk about real and perceived safety in the university area. It was championed and started with Hillsborough County, bringing on Ken Stapleton and Associates, a consulting firm that really focuses and specializes in community safety initiatives. So we brought these 30 agencies together and we really talked about what are real and perceived safety concerns in the university area. And again, if you've been in and around that community, you'll know that there are many. Between lighting issues, between lack of sidewalks, transportation challenges, getting to bus routes, getting from bus routes, all of those things that you all have been responding to. So we pulled this team of people. We worked for about 6 months to put this community safety and action plan together. It culminated with a 178-page document with recommendations going all the way down the list. We really looked at a combination of what are the major challenges and then what are the significant changes that are going on in the community, like property acquisitions and all of those things. So we tried to merge those two things together and really figure out what makes the most sense for residents in the university area. As many of you know, of course you know, we are a walking community, a walking and biking community, at least locally, and then public transportation is a big part of getting our residents into jobs, our residents outside of the community. So HART would be a critical partner in this effort. So some of the recommendations that came out of the Community Safety and Action Plan included, it was broken out into three main sections. One was programs and patrols, and this had to do with Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office working in conjunction with the work that we're doing with our programming models, and then bringing all the other partners in place, but really looking at how we do more community policing throughout the community, making sure that there's lighting, all those things. Community building events, things that build community among residents. We do them as part of our mission, but creating an opportunity where those events could also talk about community safety is critically important as well. The next section was really built environment. So we really looked at territoriality, we looked at lighting, we looked at natural surveillance. How are people's homes adjusting? How are people bringing bushes back? How are people doing things outside of the property that they rent and a few own? So what can we do to create natural surveillance? So neighbors are protecting neighbors are protecting neighbors. And we identified a couple of areas in which we can do that. And then finally, the last section was strategic communications. And that really talked about how all the community partners are working together. What we've noticed is that there are a lot of agencies that are trying to respond to community safety in the university area, both real and perceived, your agency being one of them. We know that everybody's doing a little piece of something, but if we don't have a coordinated communication effort so that people know what each other are doing, all of us are kind of floating in our own silos, not leveraging the relationships and the partnerships that are at the table. So community partner communication is a big part of that plan. So there it is. So some of the recommended examples, specifically around the programs and patrols, we have major issues with dumpsters just kind of being on the side of the road. We're lacking crosswalks significantly in the university area, but that has a lot to do with the fact that there are no sidewalks you can't really put a crosswalk between two spaces that are not sidewalks. So these are some of the issues that we're trying to respond to. We have a couple of local schools that feed in from the university area, including Mort Elementary, as well as Muller and Bowers Whitley, a couple of schools that are on our campus. And again, lack of sidewalks is a major issue for getting residents and students there safely. So those are some of the things, and as you can see, this bottom left-hand picture, that is a real picture off of one of our streets. Imagine you are trying to walk to the mall or from the mall or walk anywhere, and that's what you're facing. You're facing roads that are completely dark, that might have lighting or the infrastructure for it, but it's just not working. It hasn't been, it's been neglected for a while. So those are some of the recommendations through the Community Safety and Action Plan. Some of the partners that we brought to the table include Hillsborough County Code Enforcement, Hillsborough County Economic Development, the Library, Planning Commission, the Sheriff's Office, Tampa for Christ, us, Tampa Innovation Alliance, and a bunch of other partners. Thankfully, Ruthie and Greg have been great, just being aware of what we're doing and really supporting the initiative. But what we are looking for right now, and we went over the purpose, what we are looking for right now is your support. We are looking for really you all to partner with us in this work. We are asking for letters of support from all of our partners. And these are commitments. These are not just, yes, we will kind of support this initiative passively, but really sitting at the table with us and deciding on what are some of the areas that we can move forward on, and really getting aggressive with this plan because, again, as you know, safety is a huge issue in the university area. Now, we have had some considerable progress with the Community Safety and Action Plan. This has been in the works. We're going on our second year now. Some of the progress we've gotten from it, again, I mentioned that the document is a 178-page document. We've been able, we can't attack all of that all at once, so we've been able to whittle that down to a 3-2-1 plan so that it is, let's call it bite-sized chunks, so that we can really start to chip away at this plan and move forward with it. We have had, with Department of Health and Cutter, a walkability study to make sure that we are acknowledging and addressing some of the walkability issues in the university area. We are partnering with Vision Zero to create safe corridors for passageways. We are working on a 15th Street project with Vision Zero to identify and highlight some of the walkability and safety issues along the 15th Street corridor, which is a main channel of accidents in the university area and in Hillsborough County. We have began conducting green teams, and these are made up of residents that are going out into the community through some of our programming, going out into the community and providing some sweat equity in terms of cleaning up the community and creating an opportunity for residents to feel safer. There's less garbage, there's pulled back weeds, there are all of those things, so there are opportunities for residents to walk about the community without worrying about any major challenges. We have formalized so far 11 commitments from those partners, and these are official commitments where somebody higher up has signed off and said we are aggressively connected to this and are advocating on behalf of these resources and supports. Crossover Church, a large local church that services the university area, completed their Love Our City campaign, which is their second annual, and that focused on the university area and providing supports in that regard. So we have lots of progress taking place with the Community Safety and Action Plan, and what we're looking for is, again, your support in a formal way through a commitment. So this is just CSAP in action, some of our residents going out and doing some cleanup initiatives. And then this is what we're looking for from HART. It's an opportunity to really just share the message. It's an opportunity to sit down at the table and aggressively look at this plan. It's to help us identify funding. Part of the reason that we can't attack this plan, 100% is because of funding. Again, Ken Stapleton did a fantastic job coming in as a consultant and identifying the issues and bringing the partners to the table, but he stopped where the plan was dropped off. Once the plan was dropped off, it was up to us to execute. Us being this team of people that were brought together, and then the university area CDC kind of took the lead on it and has been running with it ever since. And then letters of support and commitment. There are various commitment levels, and again, that's something that you all will help to decide on what levels of commitment are for HART. But our goal is to bring this to the full board with an official commitment from HART.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you. Any questions?
Good program. Yeah, questions?
I'd like to make a comment. I really appreciate the fact that the commitment of your organization is that you're moving people up and not out. That progress doesn't mean that you have to completely change what the neighborhood looks like. Your land bank, for example, is a perfect example. And I'm not going to put Commissioner White on the hot seat here, but maybe I will just for a second. Are they also coming to the county to seek sidewalks?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have some projects that have been submitted, not just on our behalf, but through Moore Elementary to both the school district and to the county as well. So we have a kind of concerted effort to really push for those sidewalks in our community. And we know that's a pressing issue.
Sorry, I know you can speak for that. It wasn't too bad of a lob.
No, that was definitely friendly fire. The county I know is committed to help in any way we can, and we have the dollars going into the transportation trust fund based upon the commitment to put revenue, at least a robust percentage of revenue increases year over year into that fund. And I know we have funded a lot of sidewalk projects with those dollars. So I'm happy to speak with you, or if you're working with another commissioner, that's fine. I know they'll bring it forward, but certainly would love to help in any way we can. We've also been talking about maybe changing the policy, the way in which we fund sidewalk constructions. Many developers have complained that oftentimes they're required to build a sidewalk to nowhere, or a sidewalk that's just never going to be used. So we actually have the development community saying, "Hey, we'll gladly meet the requirement to pay into a sidewalk fund if you want to change to that type of a system, so that you can go out and build sidewalks where it makes more sense." So that's something we're working on as well. But I'm happy to help. If you need me for anything at all, just reach out, and would love to discuss it further.
That's a great idea.
Question. Mr. Chair, thank you. There is no action item attached to this presentation, but at the wishes of the committee, if there was to be a motion made for me to bring back a letter of support with the selection of 1 to 3 commitments to the May board meeting, I would be happy to do that.
I had a comment, and I'll make a motion to do just that. Or actually, it's a question. It appears that this project furthers one of the goals of the Innovation Alliance. How active are they? I saw them mentioned. How active are they in this initiative working with you?
They are very active. They are also one of the key partners that have been there since the beginning, and they come to every one of our meetings, and they are part of those conversations. The same conversations we're hoping HART will commit to as well, and they are one of our committed partners officially.
Very good. Well, I'll make a motion that we recommend to the full board that it consider the support that's being sought by the CDC here today.
I'll second that.
Okay. Before we do, we had one comment.
Yeah, and again, a great presentation.
Thank you.
I also wanted to ask on the lighting part of that the picture you had showed earlier about how dark it is. I'd like to try to also help, with Tampa Electric, get some information possibly can help with that.
Thank you. Because we have TICAR on our list.
Okay.
Okay, all right, very good. Well, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good presentation, thank you. I believe that was our last presentation. We'll move into the committee action items now. I would recommend personally, in saving of time, that we could possibly look at A, B, and C and take a vote to move those to the May 7th board, if everybody's in agreement with A, B, and C. Unless we want to have discussion.
I just have one question, and I know we discussed in fact, we approved the idea of following the same procedure that we have in the past for the selection of legal counsel. Is it, in fact, I just don't recall the normal process where the committee recommends that the board consider the top 2 selected firms in each of the categories? Is that?
Yes. Good morning. Sylvia Barron on behalf of HART, Legal Director of Legal Services. Yes, the committee does recommend moving it forward and to the full board. The very first one, General Counsel, you recommend and approve the scoring of the top 2 selected firms to make presentations to the board, full board, at the May board meeting.
Mm-hmm. I'll move items 2A, B, and C.
Yes.
Second.
Okay. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, A, B, and C is approved, move to the board.
Thank you.
The only reason I left D out is because we could have probably done the same thing with D because it's just moving to the board, but as a financial committee, I wanted to make sure that we understood that financing that and moving forward with D would be contingent on full board approval.
Yes, yes.
If we want to move that one also, that would be great.
Motion to move to recommend approval or moving to D for consideration of the full board.
Okay. Do I have a second? Second. Okay. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. That one's also moved. D. E, I left open too, only because I think as the Finance and Audit Committee, we probably ought to understand this one just a little bit better as we move forward. For 2 reasons. It does involve funding, and also it does involve our relationship with T-BARTA also.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Lucian Campbell, Interim Chief Financial Officer. I'm bringing to you today an action item to authorize the interim CEO to execute a 3rd amendment to the existing MOU between HART and T-BARTA, extending the termination date till about December 31st, 2019. In a nutshell, what this is T-BARTA has given us a grant very generously of about $250,000 for support of Flamingo Fairs. The way their cash flow works, they can't give the entire amount of money all at once, so we've kind of extended throughout the life of the project. We've asked for another extension until December 2019, and the nice thing about this is it actually coming with another $250,000 towards our project.
Very good. Very good. And that's why I brought it up, because it did involve what I would call substantial funding and great support from T-BARTA. So. Okay.
I'll move that we recommend this to the full board.
Okay. Before we do, Commissioner, you had a comment or question?
Yes. I don't want to split hairs here, but I just want to ask Mr. Smith, is the word extending the right word for the agreement, since it's technically already terminated?
Normally, when you have a terminated agreement, you restate and extend.
I know I'm splitting hairs here, but I see that.
We can look at that issue between here and the board and see if
Okay.
we need to correct the language.
Great. Okay.
Good point, sir. Thank you.
Sure, I'll take that as a note.
Okay. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that one's also moved. Thank you. And I believe we move on to our next items. We'll get a report from our interim CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only item I have to report, due to the timing of the way that we close out our monthly financials, it has been almost impossible to get the monthly financial report in this packet. So what I would like to propose as we move forward in the year is once I receive this, which is typically after the packet is out, I'll talk to the chair and the vice chair if there's any irregularities or things that stand out. If not, what we will do is to make sure that it is sent out by the Friday before the committee meeting so everyone has an opportunity to look at it and bring forward any questions that committee meeting Monday. In light of that, Mr. Capello, do you have anything to add to the financial report that was provided this morning?
Good morning again. No, sir, not especially. You have the verbiage in the front of the report. I think the only thing I want to highlight, and I think this is no surprise to anybody right now, is really the decrease in revenues due to right now it's ridership, and that's just wanted to highlight that again. We're about $1 million short right now, and it'll be a problem as we move on throughout the budget year.
And Mr. Chair, if I can add, in June you're going to get, as we have promised, a full report on the Mission Max impact, both financially and with ridership. Along with that, the numbers that you see today represent the county funding. We did receive it a few weeks ago. The $2.3 million is included. We are at 50% of the year. We're trending, when you normalize it, right around 53%. A lot of that has to do with increased cost of fuel. And we are not seeing the overall savings that we thought we would see with Mission Max, primarily due to the fuel issue. Secondly, and this is not part of this financial, well, it is in a way. We are working on our current federal formula splits with PSTA. And something that was mentioned prior to Mission Max last summer, and I remember because I was at the podium and I mentioned it, there were maybe some unintended consequences of service reduction. The goal, obviously, was to save funding, but there was a warning issued that when you start to reduce revenue miles and thus passenger decreases as well, that can impact your formula funding. We are seeing that this year. There is a chance that we will have $700,000 less in federal formula funding in FY18 than we had anticipated. And part of that is due to the fact that we have reduced our routes and our revenue miles that go into the formula. So as we finalize those documents, we'll be coming back to the board for a discussion, but that was never calculated in the Mission Max savings. It was recommended to be included, but it was never included. So when we come back in June, we're going to talk about what that impact looks like for the remainder of this year. Thank you.
Okay. The only comment I would have to that surrounds Mission Max, of course, because it was a very significant change for us, is that to send that document out a little bit earlier than normal for us to digest before we come to that meeting.
We'll do that.
I think there'll be a lot of questions, both from the board members and possibly from the community. And so if we can get a good read on that and make sure we're well studied on that when we come back in so we understand.
We'll do that.
And then hopefully it would have within it a projection of the year or two to come, and what we might be looking at in terms of if there's continued reduced funding levels that are coming in because of Mission Max, or if we anticipate ridership improvement, those kind of things, because of the change in Mission Max, not necessarily because of the overall ridership landscape. So if we can do that, that would be great, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Any comments on that from anybody? No. Okay. I'm going to close just a few words to everybody. First of all, thanks for a very nice, efficient board meeting. I had the pleasure of attending after with our interim CEO about a month ago. Nice event, a nice way to meet a lot of folks dealing with transit in communities around the United States, which was very beneficial for me as a board member, and see what others are doing and how others are working things out, how others are struggling, and then how others are succeeding. It's a 2-day event. It was action-packed, to be frankly honest with you, particularly for somebody like me who has not been to one before, so I spent a lot of time just talking to a lot of people. We were joined there by our partners from across the Bay, which was good when we met with Senator Nelson, which was very nice when we presented what I would call a nice regional picture to Senator Nelson. He appreciated that, I think. Coming out of that whole event, we saw a few other folks to include a couple of our leaders right here in the community. The one thing I took away from that, again, this is my first time, but I think we, as a board, we as an organization, HART, needs to get up there a little bit more frequently. I believe this is the first time we've been up there since last year, so we had a good 12 months. And then we as board members probably need to engage a little bit more with our leadership, both in the state and in the local communities. That's the one thing that I noticed that was a little lacking. And I gained that from two avenues. In talking with those other folks doing transit in other communities, they are very engaged with not only their local leadership, but with their state leadership, and it was evident that they were. And then the other side I saw was our leadership is kind of asking us to do that, and they want us to go in there and talk to them, both as an organization and both as board members. So I would stress, and I know a lot of you are already doing that, our job as board members is to make sure that our leaders know HART exists, and they do, but they need to know that it exists in a very solid way, in a very sound way, and we support this community in what I would call a very positive way. So if we could do that, that would be great. And then I would also recommend that if you haven't been to an APTA and you're fairly new to the transportation world, I would say, or the transit board, I would say put your hand up and go. I had a very nice time for 2 to 3 days, got a chance to sit down with Jeff and discuss a lot of issues in regards to HART and how we're doing and those kind of things, and some recommendations and where we're going. So I found it very, very beneficial. So, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Nice to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I'll conclude the board, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.